take the picture of the little girl off my screen, please. Okay. I'm sorry for all this chaos. All right, so I want to go forward now to the point where I can see this aim. All right, I can conceive of the highest good. Okay, I can start marching for it. I can enjoy the day. See, but at the same time, I enjoy working towards my aim. Okay, the highest aim I can conceive. Okay? All right, so I go through. All right, so the only private law firm that comes to University of Kentucky Law School at Lexington is Granville Alley's. And he's doing something that he had never done before, would do again, and I've never heard of any law firm doing, period, ever. He sent 2 young partners of his management labor law firm around to the different colleges, law schools in the South to interview students, recently graduated students. He flew 12 of us from Kentucky, UVA, other schools, to Tampa to spend a weekend with him and his firm. I thought these guys were in, I thought Granville, rather, not the guys, but Granville was a totally disreputable figure. He was a suicide. He died just a few years later, in his 40s from alcohol and drink, cigarettes. He was just really a disreputable character, terrible. I don't need to go into details; it doesn't matter. But I fly back to Lexington, and I am so aghast at these characters that I don't even send them a thank you letter or contact them or anything. All right. So a week later, I'm sitting in the law library, and the librarian says, "There's someone who wants to talk to you," and it's Granville. And he wants to offer me a job. When can I come down? Okay. Cool. So this is the only job offer I got. So think about this aim now, see? of the highest good for yourself, this aim, okay? So I end up taking it. It's the only job I was offered in the private sector. I could have taken, 10 federal GS 13, 14, whatever it was, which people would die for today, out of law school. I wasn't interested. So now I had a private job in a private law school firm. And I go down, and for like 9 months, I can't practice because I've got to take the bar. The Florida bar before I could practice, and that's like 9 months later. So I'm law clerking in his law library by day, and I'm preparing for the Florida bar by night. I didn't take any courses or buy any materials. I just studied, reviewed my subjects, and I passed the first time. Okay, so after a year at Granville's, I was recruited by a big firm in Tampa, by the only member of its management labor law department, and he got me a job there for like $1,200 more a year. Okay, I had been making, which was good money then, $10,400. Now I made 11 something. Okay, so now I'm doing something I never dreamt I would be doing. I'm writing a federal judge's opinion in a the U.S. Department of Labor law civil lawsuit against Burns Steakhouse. If you ever go to Tampa, you've got to go there. That's an icon. That's the big restaurant in the city and in the county. All right, so I'm doing all the work for this managing partner who has this one-man management labor law department in this big firm, and I'm his only associate. He allows me to do all the work, and we won everything. Not because I did a great job, but because of politics. And to reward me for my success, he's been boasting about what a great associate I am to all the partners, etc. He gives me $1,000 raise. It didn't even occur to me to try to negotiate a higher wage. I was so offended that I quit. I went to work for a management labor law firm that recruited me in Greenville, South Carolina. Okay. And the associates of that firm, they couldn't stand me, and they got me fired in 4 months. That's my hypothesis. I know, but I'm sure it's true, because the owner of the firm, the lawyer, he was very conflicted. He said, you don't have to actually go back to Tampa. You can stay with me. So he was gonna keep it from his associates exactly what my status was. Okay. And maybe try to insinuate me back. But I was so sensitive and proud, God. So I was such a great management labor lawyer. All my clients from Tampa followed me to Greenville, South Carolina. Okay, and they were flying me down, to handle management labor law problems, flying me down to Tampa. So I go back to Tampa, and I've got a handful of clients. And I'm running out of business, okay? Because see, if you have a small company, it's going to have one labor law problem in its existence. See, in its 100-year existence, you might have one labor law problem. And most don't have any. Okay, 99% don't have any. Right? So my clients, I take care of all their problems summarily, quickly as possible. I hold an election, and the union is voted out. So that's the end of the labor law problems. No more union. So I was courtesy of me. Okay. All right. So I'm still looking for an aim. We've all got aims. We don't have aims. We don't have aims. Okay. We have some dreams. And but as far as there it is, that's what I'm going for. I'm working towards that every day. This is not lifelike. Not for me, not for anybody. Okay? But let me go on and show you. Let's talk about this aim analogy and about real life. I love Jordan Peterson for his political views, the way he's a great sociologist. I'm going to promote some of his YouTubes. Watch his YouTubes about women with careers. He talks about specifically women with careers in law firms, and he's brilliant in many of these areas. But in the area, where he's most famous, the self-help area, the motivation area, he's hopeless. He never had a life. He's an ivory tower. He's an ivory tower freak, he didn't live an ordinary life, okay? As I did. I mean, he didn't live a real life. Clinical psychologist, just people talking shit. That's as far as that's what a lot of baloney. Clinical psychologist, okay. All right, so I ran out of labor law work, and I go down to when I was sworn in, the federal judge, Honorable Judge Benjamin Krensman, district judge at the time, he advised us when we were sworn in that we were going to work for him. And he was going to appoint us to indigent cases, criminal cases, and we were going to do them, okay? Well, I mean, this was a couple $100, for a case here and there. I went down to the federal court, and I asked them. I told them I'd take all the appointed cases I could get. I need the $100, the $80, the $200. These are the kind of fees that the Judge Krentzman would approve. Okay. Oh, I got a trial. That was great. I tried a case for white counterfeiters, guys that passed counterfeit bills, 20s, just like Floyd George, in a black pull hall. And the federales caught up with this guy with his pockets and hands full of counterfeit 20s. And I represented him. And my argument was very simple, that I asked a witness who had been in the bar at the time about the lighting, so it was very dark. Okay, so I said, well, my client said he won all these 20s, from another man in the bar. He just won them. And so you're saying, and you've flown somebody down from Washington to tell us what we already know, that paper money is not made out of paper, it's made out of rag, and you can feel the difference. Well, not if you've been drinking, you can't feel the difference. That's what you do in a bar, okay? And they haven't proved that he had this money long enough to find out it was counterfeit. Defense verdict, acquittal in an hour. The U.S. attorney lost his job over that case, by the way. And that wasn't the first career I destroyed. And we became best friends, but he was a great guy. He wasn't fit to do that, what he did, though. Like most people, he wasn't constitutionally equipped to be a prosecuting attorney. See, poor guy. I'm sure he's gone to his reward by now. All right, so I asked for, I think, $800. I mean, you could ask for as much as I think $2,000, and Judge Kresman cut that down to $600. What year was that? 1961 or 2 had to be. Okay. I tried another one. I got to try 2 federal appointed cases. The second one, there's no way I could win it, but I had to try it so I could appeal it, and I won it on appeal. Okay. I got to go to New Orleans, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Boy, that was great. I love that. And I got to argue before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and I argued that using phony credit cards was not mail fraud, and I had a good argument. I won. I got the guy. So I had a perfect record, in a field where like 99% of the people whose cases are not dismissed pre-trial by the federal judge, 99% of those people are convicted. See, so here I had 2 scores, 2 acquittals. Okay, out of 2 cases that I tried. The other cases, I got them all dismissed. This is how I did it. I don't even remember what the hell these crimes were. It's been so long. We were talking about is that possible? Yeah, we're talking about 50 years ago. But the way the U.S. attorney got the convictions is that he had in every one of these cases, I got a piece of paper. There was an affidavit, and the U.S. attorney, assistant U.S. attorney, got a black man, orchard worker, to give him an affidavit incriminating my client, who was then prosecuted. Right. So in every one of these cases, I took this piece of paper to the witness, and I said, "What the hell are you doing? You're trying to send your friend to prison? This isn't true, is it?" "Oh no, I'll." Well, he had been intimidated. See, that's the way our justice system works. with the underclass, white and black. The way they get a conviction. Do you think people in South Chicago say, "Oh yeah, I'll testify that I saw A murder B"? Yeah, if you do, you better get the hell out of South Chicago on a permanent basis. No. They don't voluntarily witness murders. Are you kidding me? No. What happens is the detective or whoever is investigating the case, he finds a black man with a criminal record in South Chicago, which is very easy to do, 40%, and he tells that man what he's going to testify to about this murder because he knows he lives in the same area and knows this guy. See, he's got a criminal record, so he tells him what to say in the trial, which he does, and then the wrong guy. It's all made up, and so this is not the shooter. It's, the shooter, goes to prison, and then 50. I keep seeing this 16 years. I don't know what's so magical about 16 years. I see these guys that were doing life in prison for murder, black guys, and then 16 years later, they're acquitted. Okay, well, a lot of them, before they die, the case falls apart and they're exonerated, not acquitted, they got exonerated, and the taxpayer has to pay a few $1,000,000 to them. Okay, so I got all of these guys off this way, right? And the U.S. attorneys, they love me, they respected me so much because I was the only guy who was doing anything, for the defendants. I mean, see, an attorney in the United States is no different than an attorney in the old Soviet Union. He works with a prosecutor. He talks to the prosecutor. He decides the best deal he can get for his innocent client. He tells the client, you got one chance of 50 if you go to trial of being acquitted. And all the innocent people with the guilty people, they go and they like Flynn. Here's a general. Okay, they got to confess. See, to plead guilty. See. So it's sort of universal, okay, this phenomenon. And yes, there are guilty people in prison, sure. I mean, most of them are guilty, yeah. But my point is that, the 5-10% that are innocent, they're in prison too, in the United States. Okay, that's our police state. I talked about this, and I want you to go through all my YouTubes because I'm talking about this. So you can't hear this, you can't learn this anywhere else. You go to college, in criminology. You think somebody's gonna tell you this? No, they're goofball college professors. They never practice criminal law. They don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. All right. So back to the point. The aim. I'm still looking for my aim. My goal, the highest possible good, as Jordan says. Okay. Okay. So, what else did I do to keep body and soul together? Oh yeah, finally. I went around with my hat in my hand. I asked the attorneys I've met over the 2.5 years I've been in Tampa if they had anything I can help them with. I've told my story several times in my YouTubes that nobody watches. All right, and he pulls out his filing cabinet. Says, "Oh sure, kid, take this file." Oh yeah, while you're at it, take this too. I collected 13 unwanted cases. The total of work done on all of these 13 was 0. No work had been done on any of them. No costs had been advanced. When I got going as an injury lawyer, and I had 20 people referring me cases. I always sent them a 25% referral fee. This was approved by the bar. We were all doing this, right? These guys didn't ask me for a penny. Just don't bring the case back, okay? So I had never been in the courtroom. I've been a labor lawyer, administrative law, National Labor Relations Board hearings, okay? So I had to try. I had to come up with the filing fees myself, of course, which I did. I tried all 13 before juries. I got exactly what I asked for in all 13 cases from all 13 juries. To the penny. Don't believe a word I'm saying. Just Google J&H Auto Trim versus 5 underwriters, Lloyd's of London underwriters. I can't remember their names. Federal Second, you'll find it. It should come right up. If you can't Google it, just go to the law library and look it up. J&H Auto Trim. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, not all of my cases were. See, you're not going to see a record of jury trials that have not been appealed, with exceptions. You might, for example, one of my most amazing cases, 2002, I represented a man on a motorcycle going 75 miles in a 30-mile residential zone, houses together, children playing. And he was on a motorcycle. He was airborne for half a block. He was roadkill and lived. Now, that was not appealed. That was paid. But you can look it up, Lopez v. Alvarado, in the Florida Jury Verdict Survey for 2002. It'd come right up, and there'll be a little description of the case. See? Okay, so that's an exception in case it doesn't go to appeal that you can read about. But see, you can read about enough of my cases to know that I'm telling you the absolute truth. All right, so hey, I didn't aim. I didn't think I'd get any case. I thought, well, hell, stranger things have happened. Maybe if I ask the lawyers for cases, they'll give them to me. I didn't know that. I wasn't aiming to do that. That wasn't my best possible aim. See, this is a fantasy world. Jordan Peterson's great when it comes to his sociological discussions of what people are doing in America. But when it comes to telling people what to do with their lives, pet cats, stand up straight, clean your room. He acts like, or find your aim, the highest possible aim. You don't know what the hell you're going to find. See? That's why I'm telling you this story and going into all this painful detail, to show you how completely off Jordan Peterson is. So you're not, as a young person, you're not. I mean, what he's saying, it might have some merit, for the president of, what's his name, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Yeah, that might have some merit to say, create an aim and aim for it and work towards it. And I'm not so sure about that. I have to think that one through. See, but for a young person who isn't, you're only looking for an aim if you're not in a successful enterprise, because then your aims have become obvious. And you don't even have to think about them. You know where you're going. You've been going the same place for years, and you know where you're going. So it has no applicability. Find your greatest possible aim and work towards it. See, two things are at play here. One, let's look at my actual case. See, I didn't know I could try cases. I had no idea. They kicked me off the debate team. I looked at this crap in high school. This is nonsense. These materials that I'm studying, I can't debate this. This is phony crap. And I went and asked my dad. I said, "Can you help me, Dad?" And he refused to. He looked at it. He wouldn't even talk to me about it. Okay, so they kicked me off because I wasn't a bullshitter. Okay. All right. See, the point is, I had no reason to think I'd be a superstar trial lawyer. I was more of a pointy-headed intellectual type. Majored in philosophy and played classical music in the orchestra and loved classical music and loved literature and fancied myself the greatest living poet and novelist. Okay, see, what trial lawyers are like politicians. They're like, they come from the same same little group of people, you know. They're the guys that in high school, you know, ran for the student council. See, I mean, they're just born politicians. That's a typical lawyer, especially trial lawyer. So I had no idea what I could do, and how exhilarating it would be, you know, to kick derriere, you know, in the courtroom. You know, and to figure out insoluble problems, you know, so I could take cases that no attorney in the history of the world would take. That sounds hyperbolic. No, it's literally true. J&H Autotrim versus Lloyd's of London. 2 bookies come to me. They have a car shop, unconvicted bookies. They have a detail shop, J&H Autotrim. They buy 40,000 sheets of vinyl from a bankrupt manufacturer in Alabama. They put them in a truck. They take them to Tampa. They put them in a warehouse. They insure them against fire loss for $320,000. That was so much money, you know, in 1972. That was so much money that 5 underwriters of Lloyd's of London shared the risk, the $320,000. So they're getting 5 policies, you know, of property destruction policies from Lloyd's of London, and 5 separate policies. And before they get all 5 back from London, everything goes up in flames. Okay, the fire marshal calls the fire an arson, and indicates that the source of the fire was electrical outlets, where the tops were stored next to the electrical outlets, and that someone had thrown an accelerant, gasoline, on the tops near the electrical outlets to make it look like, you know, the electricity went bonkers and set everything on fire, right? Now, Lloyd's of London finds a witness, an old friend of my clients, who says my clients confessed to the arson to him, and here's the problem, though. He knew where the fire started. You know, it's in the federal seconds, all this stuff. You want to chuckle. His name was Willie Noriega. That was his name, the witness. Okay. So, how many cases like this will you find, you know, in the history of the world or since? This was you know, back in the early 70s, I think. How many are you going to find like that? None. No one's ever attempted. And this is like my second jury trial. Okay? And I'm in federal court. Now, how scary is that? You know, here's a kid that doesn't know anything about trial law, except what I learned in law school, which is de minimis. And I went and I watched 2 criminal trials. I watched closing arguments in Lexington when I was going to law school. That was my experience. Okay? All right. I was up against, in this case, in this trial, I was up against the senior lawyer, senior partner of the biggest law firm in Florida, Billy Gillen of Fowler White Boggs, blah blah blah, Villarreal, Real, I can't remember all the names. Fowler White Boggs. Yeah. So I figured out how to win the case. I made a monkey out of this 65-year-old trial lawyer with his white hair. I mean, I don't think I was 30 years old. Maybe a little older. I made a monkey out of him. And you know what it was up against? The Honorable Ben Krensman, you know, who looked exactly like Jabba the Hutt. He was pounding his gavel again and again, calling me up to the bench, threatening me with jail if I didn't stop asking leading questions. I never asked any questions. In the appellate decisions, he said I never asked a leading question. He was intimidating me, trying to scare me and my clients out of the courtroom. I mean, he must have done that 7 times. very disturbing. Trying to put on a trial where the federal judge is threatening you with jail. Okay? 5 days of trial, jury out hour and a half, verdict $320,000. Hey, no one has asked me how much they paid for the tops that they immediately insured for $320,000. They paid $10,000. Okay, so you see what I was up against. And then I got a jury verdict in an hour and a half after 5 days of trial. Okay, $320,000. He's Gentle Ben. We call him that because of the cartoon character, the bear, Gentle Ben. Because of his habit of mauling attorneys, right? Gentle Ben. Gentle Ben wrote an opinion about, which you can read, saying that the court had found as a matter of law a reasonable man could not differ on this. See that he found arson as a matter of law. The judge can't do that. Okay? I couldn't appeal the case, under the federal rules, appellate rules. Could not appeal it. I had to try it again. And now they were very afraid that Gentle Ben was going to stroke out and fall down wiggling if he had to try the case again. So they sent a very nice judge down from Pennsylvania, flew him down to try the case second time. 5 days of trial, jury out hour and a half, verdict $320,000. Okay? Now, the nice judge, turned out he wasn't that nice, he set aside my verdict and he entered judgment for Lloyd's of London. So after winning the case twice, 2 trials, 2 juries, I had to appeal it to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Now we're in the 11th in Florida. And you can read the decision. They reinstated my verdict, okay? Can you imagine what it was like? I mean, that was, to fish this, in today's money, we're talking $300,000-$400,000 fee. Okay? To fish this out of, the rubbish, the cases that no attorney would talk to the clients. See? So I know I could do this before I did it. How could I? Jordan, get a life, man. I mean, how could I aim at something that I didn't know existed? See? And everybody, every young person is like that. So, you can't think of the highest good for you and then aim towards it every day and have joy out of the day and have joy out of the fact that every day you're getting closer to your aim. See, you don't know what's going to happen to you until you get out there, among the other gladiators, and fight it out. Poor old Billy Gillen, he went to his, he said it, told me that he had went to a meeting, of his insurance defense lawyers or some kind of meeting, big lawyer, and they all wanted to know what the hell Stahl did. How could he win this case twice? And that was what everybody wanted to know, because they knew he had lost it twice. He was lucky. He was an owner of the law firm. I mean, he was a he was a partner in the law firm. I mean, when I did this kind of thing to, young guys, I mean, that's, some of them I'm sure never recovered. Oh, I know one guy could totally destroy his career with a big law firm, and I never saw him. He was working for, I don't want to identify him, to give you anything you can identify. But I mean, I really destroyed his career. In the courtroom. Okay. Not intent. I was trying to destroy his. I had no ill will against him. I loved everybody. I really did. I was a very nice person. I still am. I was just trying to do my job the best. I was trying to win a tough case that I shouldn't have won. Those are the only kind of cases I got. Okay. You go to a big city, any big city in the country, and you hang out in the hospital room of somebody who's just had a horrible catastrophic injury. You know who's going to show up? You get permission to hang out there 24/7? Okay? An investigator from a law firm. And that law firm has the hookup with the local bar. And he can do this. You know, the little fish like me, they can't do it. They lose their license. I mean, this is called solicitation, you know, on ambulance chase. But they can do it because they've got the hookup. See, I want you to learn a lesson from Ed Bradley's segment about the sheriff, you know, that arrested 46 innocent people, almost all black. It's just heartbreaking. The segment shows them, you know, in chains and their underwear. They got them out of bed, you know, took them to jail. Ed Bradley did not see something I saw, which he's not a lawyer. It was discovered that this guy who said, this undercover agent who said he sold cocaine to 46 people in Tulsa, Texas. It was discovered there was no cocaine. What do you mean? The cocaine has to be in the locker room, okay? And there's a custodian of that thing. He signs in everything, he keeps a record of everything, right? You'd have to have all the cocaine, right? Well, he didn't have any cocaine. What does that mean? See, that's what I'm teaching in my college course here. Teaching how to think. Okay? If he didn't have any cocaine, and he knew, I mean, this is on the news, the local news every day, every time there was a new arrest, they were busting this drug ring, imaginary one. All right. Everybody in the sheriff's office, every sheriff, every deputy sheriff, everybody knew that this was fraudulent. You know, that nobody was being arrested for selling drugs to an undercover agency. They were being framed. All of them. Every single one of them. All 46 were being framed and relevant. And most of them were sent to prison. You know, 3 years later, they were all out, you know, because this thing blew up. But so everybody in the sheriff's office, all the sheriffs, the sheriff, the deputy sheriff, everybody knew what was going on. And you would think that, you know, a great number of people in the community, this would have gotten out to the community. You know, because all these people have wives, you know, siblings and so on. This had to get out. All right. So how sinister is this? Think about this. You know? Do you think Tulsa is something different and special? You know, they were incentivized by these $1 million grants from the federal government to go out and make drug arrests, so that next year they get another, you know, 10 million or whatever they were getting. You think that these are specially sinister, evil people? No, these are Americans. They're all like this. They're doing this in Tampa, they're doing this in Chicago, they're doing this in New Orleans, and so it's all the same. Exactly the same. It doesn't speak well. You know, it doesn't, okay? See, that's the other big subject I want Jordan to talk about. Tell people, make sure they understand about the world they live in. Because the point of education, media, everything, is to zombify them, you know, to hypnotize them and prevent them from seeing what they're looking at, which is, you know, universal corruption, you know, and evil. Evil. You know? I mean, how could you sleep at night when you knew, you know, you were waking up this poor black guy in his underwear and telling him, you know, you don't need underwear, nigger, where you're going from. You're going to. You won't need any underwear. We got orange for you. How can you sleep at night? But Americans do. You know, they do. They do sleep at night. You know, I wrote a modernist poem. You know, all my stuff has been confiscated by the authorities. Okay, all my paperwork. And some of the words of the poem. An American has two concerns. These are: does it concern me? Number one. Number two, what's in it for me? Otherwise, they don't care. They don't care what's happening in their world. They couldn't care less. They don't want to know about it, see? And they're certainly not going to think things that they're not supposed to think. You know, that's part of their zombification. Right, so this is a world that if you grow up in America and you go to work in America, you know, you are at risk. every minute of every day. You're at risk for having somebody knock on your door, and say, "Oh, remember that cocaine? You're being arrested for selling cocaine now. Remember the cocaine you sold this man? The undercover agent. You're being arrested now." See, you're at risk for that kind of thing. There's a million variants of that. They're happening all the time. Like the black man in Chicago, that's arrested for killing somebody, and then 60 years later they prove he wasn't around, somewhere else. Okay, jeez. But this is the world you live in. You have to be ready for this. The irony of this is that Jordan Peterson has this Weltanschauung, this worldview, of living in the United States, and how life is suffering. He in this motivational video he did, he talks about, first of all, he tells you about your aim. See, like somebody knows what the hell his aim is. When he gets out of college. I mean, don't decide on your aim. You don't know what you can do. See, that's the moral of my story. Get out there and see what you can do. See what you like. See what you can find out. How can you aim at something when you don't know anything? You don't know about yourself, and you don't know anything about the world. See, but you're gonna create an aim for yourself and work towards that every day. I wish it were that easy. All right. So now Jordan Peterson lives in a world of suffering. Well, he did, in Colonic Pit, and he survived an attempted suicide. All this time he was attempting suicide. He knew it. He knew where he was going. He has a high IQ. He's not intelligent, but he has a high IQ. He has good cognitive function. See, but he doesn't put it together right. He comes up with this conclusion that life is suffering. What do you know? Walk down the street, you see somebody suffering. How many people do you know that are suffering? That's a pretty strong term, Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it's not suffering, but it's trials and tribulations, but it's 99% in the United States. It's 99% self-inflicted. He starts out by saying, "There's a man sitting on the side of his bed." And, Jordan says, "Please ask yourself, what incredibly stupid things do I do every day?" I mean, some people do incredibly stupid things every day, but that's a pretty small minority. This is all wretched hyperbole. Suffering. Life is suffering. I never suffered in my life. I don't remember a minute of real suffering. Okay? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you when I suffered. I woke up from open heart surgery. I had my cow valve put in, my Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I recommend for every person that's slowing down. And if it's bicuspid valve and not opening up, put in a tricuspid cow valve. It opens up and you'll have the circulation of an 18-year-old. You'll be able to sprint half a block and not get winded like me at 77. All right, so I woke up from this open heart operation, and I wanted the nurse wouldn't give me more pain medication, and I threatened to break through the window and jump out the window if she didn't. And she's just a bitch. Miserable, wretched bitch. And finally she gave me more pain medicine, and I was able to endure it, That's the only suffering that I can remember. Life is suffering. Yeah, it's suffering, when you're when you are committing suicide. You have to be put in an induced coma. And you don't know whether you're going to be alive. You're going to survive this. I mean, we may never see him back. giving him. I mean, I hope God help him, and I hope he comes back, and I want him to, he can collaborate with me, and we'll write a new book. Instead of telling you to shoulder responsibility, we're going to tell you, young people, don't assume any responsibilities. Live at home like Wayne and Garth, with your parents in the garage, and don't even dream of getting married and having children. That may not be appropriate for you ever in your life. You've got to get to the point in your career before you leave home where you can really support yourself. Because I don't want you to focus on working and making a living and at the same time developing, a meaningful career that you enjoy and that can allow you to have a family. See? And you may never do that. You may stay with your parents the rest of your life. People in Europe do that. That's cool. It's much better than going out and pollinating, and chain of consciousness, stream of consciousness. That makes me think of this life is suffering. Yeah, I'll tell you how much a welfare mother with 4 children suffers. Okay, in the United States, this is years ago, I saw this on one of the big services like, I can't think of the names. If you buy stock, you have all these financial services from the big networks. Yeah, you have 4 children, and your goofball spouse, has hightailed it. You average. This is years ago. You average $268 a day. Okay, life of suffering by derriere. Yeah, it's not a whole lot of suffering maybe the untouchables that clean the toilets in India. But I even question how much they suffer. You probably find that most of them enjoy their lives. No, life is not suffering, okay? Not in the United States. During the Black Plague, in Europe, sure, life was suffering, if you call it the plague. Just about everything he says is wrong. His core idea, he's famous for about shouldering responsibility. That's a horrible idea for young people. Horrible idea. So I'll collaborate with him on a new book, and then my second big rule. I had 3 big rules of life. Okay, stay home, live in the garage or the basement, and don't shoulder responsibility until you're ready for it. And you may never be ready for it. That's fine. You can live with your parents in your parents' house. You can inherit it. Okay. Rule number 2, don't get married unless you can support a family, you're stable. And I explain what kind of person you want to marry. Rule 3, understand what you're up against in this country. Understand the world you're living in. Forewarned is forearmed. He never mentions these things in his moral village. He talks about paying tax and standing up straight and cleaning your room, telling the truth. We're living in a population, of sociopaths. This is Pollyanna stuff, You may, to keep your job, you may have to lie. I think that a fair percentage, of Americans have to lie, to keep their job. I remember out of school getting a job selling insurance, and we took a test. This is in Florida, and it taught us not to twist. That's a technical word, and compare someone's policy with the one you're trying to sell and denigrate his policy. And that's you can lose your license to sell insurance for that. Everybody in Federal Republic, whatever the damn name of the insurance company was. All the other guys who were going around saying McDonald's. I lasted, I think, a week. But it was, I learned a lot. I lasted 2 days as a bill collector. But I learned a lot. Yeah. So every young guy, they all had college, I think, these guys. They were losers, of course. But every one of them, lying was all they did. Sell this health insurance. That's all they did is lie. So to tell people, don't lie. Lying is, I mean that's like a way of life here. I mean, who tells the truth about anything? I mean, this is a very corrupt, degenerate society. I mean, government is, take the sheriff's department in Tulsa, Texas. Okay, that is good. What you see there, you're going to see in every governmental agency, federal, state, local, in the United States. You're going to see the same stuff. They may not be, making false arrests, but they're all corrupt and doing mischief of some kind, believe me, serious mischief of some kind. Okay? And until we replace government workers with unpaid volunteers, and you put me in charge, make me trustee in bankruptcy, okay, and we disband the whole mess, all branches of it, all levels. And unpaid volunteers take over government function. We keep changing them so they can't take bribes. We're going to have corrupt. The government's going to be one vast black hole of corruption and waste, consuming 25% of our gross domestic product, which in itself is mostly gross domestic waste. So where does this aim thing come in? Please tell me. Aim at the highest good for yourself. See, when you don't know yourself and you don't know what you're getting into, you don't know about the world that you're going to work in, and I'll replace that, with a new rule, and that is, keep your eyes open. Try to understand what's going on around you, and of course, do your best. Do your best, and then. As you learn more, look for opportunity. See, you can't have an aim because you haven't found any opportunity yet, probably, if you're young. I mean, most Americans never find any opportunity in their lifetime. So you tell people, they get a job, as a mailman. Bless them, and they're set for life, work for U.S. Mail, and they're happy to have that job, Yeah, so most Americans are not going to find anything to aim at. They're going to be very lucky if they can find, a place in the workforce that is reliable, long term. The best thing being, government work. Pays twice as much as private work, as private sector work doing the same thing, maybe 3 times as much. And you get fabulous pensions, and you got absolute security. Yeah. It's sort of ironic, isn't it? Yeah. So Jordan Peterson is not in touch. He doesn't care about reality. He is. All this self-help stuff. It's just hucksterism. It's just what's the word? I like to use. I can't think of the damn word. He's selling people a bill of goods. He's telling people, you've got potential. You can do all these wonderful things, and I'm going to show you how to find an aim and walk towards that aim every day. You see? Yeah. I want to see feedback. I had one commenter attack me and say, my idea of meaning was subjective. I explained to him all meaning is subjective. It's one man's interpretation of phenomena in the world. Okay? You think of the term, what does it mean to you? Okay, so all meaning is subjective. All right? Some people's interpretations work out. They stand the test of time. Other people's don't. This does not apply to Immanuel Kant's pure ideas, a priori ideas that precede the world. Sensation, like number. That's universal. We can't interpret what 2 + 2 means. Number, dimension, comparison. Bigger and smaller. These are all a priori ideas. They're universal, and you can't have your own subjective interpretation of all other ideas. Like the ideas in Jordan Peterson's motivational, wonderful motivational YouTube. Isn't it amazing? People go around in stupors